If you asked my parents, they'd tell you the Rivera family believed in appearances. Appearances, and my sister Isabel. She'd always been the front-page version of us, valedictorian, philanthropist, newly engaged to a venture capital prince whose Instagram smiled like investment returns. Mom said Isabel was their mirror of success. She said I was potential. I learned early that potential was a nice way of saying not yet good enough. By 27, I owned a design firm, RVR House, minimalism, sustainability, no nepotism. I built it quietly from scratch after walking away from the family's interior redesign company when they refused to let me lead projects. Learn humility first, Dad had said, so I did. Humility came with a business registration certificate and my own set of keys. Still, old habits die beautifully hard. When Isabel got engaged, my parents hosted an engagement dinner at Le Chalet, the same event hall where every powerful local family staged their milestones. The guest list read like a merger catalog. I sent early congratulations and promised to attend. Mom's reply came within minutes. Darling, it'll be crowded. Maybe come after dessert? We'll all be so busy. There's catering work to set up too. You know that space better than anyone. Translation, please arrive when the photo ops are over and be useful, not visible. I didn't argue. I just said I would stop by. The day of the dinner, I arrived wearing black slacks and a simple blouse. Not a gown, not a statement, just something practical enough to move chairs if I felt like it. The maitre d' greeted me politely but hesitated, clearly unsure if I was staff or guest. "You're with the Riveras?" he asked. "In a way," I said. He nodded toward the main hall. They're making quite an entrance. The double doors opened to chandeliers and applause. Isabel floated in wearing gold silk, my mother glimmering beside her, my father proud as an empire. I stood off to the side where no flashbulb strayed. When Mom saw me, she blinked, hesitating for only a second before the smile returned. She approached mid-greet, voice sugar over steel. "You made it. Excellent. The extra wait staff didn't arrive. Could you help pass the champagne before dinner? You're so good with presentation. There are moments when humiliation feels physical, like warmth rising behind your eyes. But lessons in humility had already taught me to weaponize calm. Of course," I said softly. She relieved a passing server of a tray and placed it in my hands as if delegating decor. Guests turned, assumed I was staff, and smiled vaguely when I offered glasses. I smiled back. I served. And in that small hollowed space between embarrassment and patience, I made a quiet decision. I would never explain myself to these people again. 10 minutes later, I ducked behind the bar under the excuse of restocking. The manager, Connor, late 30s, meticulous, was reviewing staff schedules. "Need a hand?" I asked. He looked up. Recognition flickered across his face. We had met 2 years earlier when I'd negotiated the new interior refurbishment for this very venue. "Ms. Rivera?" he said. "What are you doing in uniform?" "Family theater," I murmured. He frowned. "They don't know? Not tonight." He studied the hall through the glass. "That's cruel." "It's choreography," I replied, "and the show's almost over." Before he could answer, a waiter rushed over. "Sir, we need approval to switch wine labels. They're running short." "Ask her," Connor said, nodding at me. "She's the owner." The words landed louder than intended, slicing through the low hum of party chatter. My mother froze mid-conversation, glass halfway to her lips. Dad's smile stiffened. Isabel turned, confusion blooming into awareness. Connor, realizing too late, tried to adjust. "I mean the designer. Ms. Rivera refurbished Le Chalet last year, but the damage, no, the truth was already airborne." "The owner?" murmured someone near the seafood tower. I set the tray down carefully. "Technically co-owner," I said, voice steady. "I bought into the property group after the redesign. But please, enjoy the wine." And then I walked away, leaving silence where applause used to live. In the car home, I laughed, first from disbelief, then relief. Secrets rarely like confinement. Sometimes the universe cracks the door for you. By morning, the group chat Mom used for family updates was in meltdown. "Mom, why didn't you tell us about the purchase?" DAD, Isabel says guests were gossiping. EAZBL, were you trying to embarrass me on my engagement day? I stared at my phone, coffee in hand, then typed back one line, ME. I was only helping, remember? That afternoon, the story had already traveled. Business pages reported unexpected local investor revealed during society event. Industry forums called it reverse nepotism success. Emails from new clients poured in. One subject line read, "Loved how you handled a family PR crisis with grace. Let's collaborate. Grace." Funny word, it had never belonged to me before. A week later, Mom asked to talk privately. We met at her favorite tea room, Neutral Territory. She arrived wearing guilt disguised as pearls. Your father was shocked. You could have told us. I tried, I said evenly. For years. That's different. How? She sighed. You know how proud he is. You could have included us, given us time to process. Process that I didn't need your permission anymore. Her spoon clinked against porcelain. You think we were cruel? We just wanted to protect you. From what? Satisfaction? Her composure wavered, the way it always did when truth met denial too directly. Finally she whispered, "Your sister felt humiliated. Then she knows how I did for 27 years." Mom's eyes glistened. Can you forgive us? I stirred my coffee. Already did. The moment your friends called me Mrs. at your table, forgiveness, I'd learned, doesn't require reconciliation, only clarity. The article that broke the internet started with one photograph, me at Le Chalet, tray in hand, face caught halfway between politeness and fury. The caption read, "Local entrepreneur humiliated by her own family, hidden success revealed during sister's engagement." Overnight, reporters called it the Rivera reversal. Investors joked that I'd invented revenge marketing. Schools invited me to speak about humility turned to enterprise. I hadn't meant for any of it, but I learned to stop apologizing for outcomes I didn't engineer. Mom, however, believed damage control demanded theatrics. We're issuing a statement, she said over brunch a few days later. Something simple, family misunderstanding, cultural miscommunication, you know. You mean denial, I said. She frowned. People are talking, Luna. That's what she always called me when manipulation was coming, Luna. The tender out-sounding version of my name she used to soften orders. Let them talk, I said. For the first time, it benefits me. Mother pressed her napkin like a truce flag. Your sister hasn't stopped crying. Maybe tears are her networking strategy. The silence after that was longer than the menu. Isabel herself refused contact for a week, then requested a meeting. I knew what that meant, confrontation disguised as civility. We agreed to coffee. She arrived wearing sunglasses despite being indoors, the uniform of someone who wants to hide pupils but not power. You enjoyed it, didn't you? She began. Enjoyed being treated like staff? I asked. Not particularly. Her smile was brittle. You humiliated us. Our friends think you staged it. I leaned back, calm. If I'd staged it, the lighting would have been better. Her nails clicked against her cup. You don't understand how hard I've worked for my place. Your place came with reservations and family PR. Mine came with invoices, she flushed. Is that supposed to make you superior? Equal, I said simply. For once. She swallowed hard, as if equality tasted worse than defeat. You think owning one building gives you leverage? I'm marrying into a legacy. You're marrying into someone else's. Her eyes narrowed. You've always been jealous. I was, I admitted. Then I realized, jealousy is just admiration with a blindfold. I stood. I've taken mine off. The next few months blurred between opportunity and disapproval. My firm, RVR House, landed contracts across the city. Clients now wanted the Rivera touch, elegant under pressure. Meanwhile, family gatherings shrank, half invitations, half ghost stories. Dad, trying to play moderator, called one evening. You've made your point, he said. Your mother's friends worship you now. But at least pretend to be grateful. Grateful for what? For where you come from. Without family reputation, no one would have hired you. I laughed softly. You still think success is inheritance. That's adorable, he sighed. You're doing this to punish us. No, Dad, I said gently. I'm doing it to stop needing you. That winter, Isabel's fiancé's company, Latimer Group, approached RVR House for a design tender on their new head office. She must not have known the email came directly from procurement. I considered refusing. Then curiosity whispered, no accept. 2 weeks later, I walked into the pitch presentation room, graphite portfolio under my arm, to find Isabel seated beside the CEO. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. You're bidding? How imaginative. Her fiancé, Daniel Latimer, stood to greet me. I didn't realize you two were related till this morning. Small world. Smaller family, I said. He laughed, oblivious. Well, best proposal wins. I nodded. Exactly. Preparing that tender consumed 45 days, not because it needed perfection, I already had that, but because it deserved symbolism. Every detail embodied efficiency, innovation, and audacity. The pitch room fell silent during my final slide. Ownership isn't inherited, it's built. Daniel leaned forward, impressed. You just redefined workspace philosophy. Isabel's knuckles whitened on her pen. When I left, she followed me to the corridor. You'll embarrass me again if they choose you. If they choose me, maybe merit embarrasses you. They won't, she hissed. A month later, the email came. Contract awarded to RVR House. Family silence turned absolute. My parents didn't congratulate me. Isabel stopped attending Sunday dinners entirely. But revenge matures most beautifully when ignored. It grows roots quietly. Then, mid-spring, a surprise arrived that wasn't vengeful at all, an invitation addressed to me alone from the board of Le Chalet Group. Connor, the manager whose words had detonated the secret months earlier, was now regional director. They wanted to merge RVR House's design brand into a boutique hospitality chain. Partnership, equity, expansion worth 7 figures. I signed. The press called again, headlines repeating the older story as preamble to a new one. From family outcast to industry visionary, each article mentioned the engagement incident as mythic origin. I had become everyone's favorite parable, humiliation turned ownership. When Mom finally showed up at my office 3 months later, she looked older. Pride had gravity and it was crushing her. I saw the papers, she said quietly. You've done extraordinary things. I nodded. Thank you, she hesitated. Your father's stubborn, he'll never admit it, but when he reads your interviews, he cuts them out, keeps them in a drawer. The image startled me. He does? Yes, she smiled ruefully. You win, Luna. It wasn't a competition. With us, everything was, she said softly, and you're the first to stop playing. We talked for hours. Not as parent and child, more like 2 women scaling the same steep inheritance of pride. When she left, she touched the doorframe and said, For what it's worth, I'm glad the manager said it out loud. We weren't listening before. Isabel's wedding loomed, inevitably dramatic. I debated whether to attend. Then Dad called. His voice carried pleading dressed as authority. It would mean something to your mother, he said, so I went. This time I arrived on time and dressed like silence could be weaponized, navy suit, gold watch, no apology. The ballroom glowed with funds and denial. Guests whispered when I entered. Narratives, it seemed, lived longer than grudges. Isabel spotted me mid-toast. Her face stayed perfectly host-like. Only the slightest tremor betrayed her hands. During the reception, Daniel approached. Your design pitch transformed our company. I'd like to feature you in business media showcase our partnership. I smiled. You'll have to ask your fiancé first. He laughed. She'd kill me for doing press without her anyways. His laughter dimmed when he saw her watching from across the room. A fragile empire built on performance. It only needed proximity to truth to fracture. 3 months after their honeymoon, news outlets reported Latimer Group under investigation for accounting irregularities. Nothing catastrophic, just incompetence amplified by hubris. But enough to bruise their prestige. Dad called again. Isabel's distraught. Can you help? I wondered if irony had volume. Surely it would have drowned him out. Still, compassion isn't weakness, it's perspective. I called Daniel's office. Helped restructure through my corporate contacts, saved the company that once mocked mine. By doing so, I didn't just win. I rewrote the family hierarchy in invisible ink. They would dine on gratitude now, whether they admitted it or not. 2 extreme summers and 1 acquisition later, everything changed again. Le Chalet's parent group, my group now, expanded abroad. Investors offered full purchase. I became chief designer and minority partner of 3 international properties. At the press launch, a journalist asked, "Your story began with humiliation. Are you thankful for it?" "Yes," I said. Because pain introduces you to truth, and truth never leaves wanting a refund. 5 years later, the Rivera family name appeared on blueprints again, but this time underneath mine. The Le Chalet chain had doubled in size. I'd become its creative director. Architect of atmosphere, business magazines called me. My parents read every issue with a mixture of pride and disbelief. Power reversals look elegant in print. I kept my distance, politely. Holidays remained civil, birthdays punctual, feelings decorative, until the call that changed our choreography once more. Mom's voice held a tremor. "Your father fell, he's fine, but the doctors say he should stop traveling for work. He wants to sell the family company and retire." I hesitated. "Sell to whom?" "To you," she said. I laughed at first. "The old firm threw me out, and you built a better one." "That's exactly why he trusts you now." Trust 10 fragile years late, but still a currency. "I'll think about it," I said. The old Rivera design office smelled of polished wood and paper history. I hadn't been inside since the night I walked away. Same glass walls, same framed certificates, same view of the skyline that used to make me feel small. Dad sat behind his desk, older, slower, but still carrying that air of command. "You've done well," he said, studying me as if measuring an unfamiliar product. "So have I heard," I replied. He folded his hands. "I wanted one of you girls to keep the business alive. But Isabel's occupied with Latimer Group. I can't ask her to juggle crises again." "You could ask her," I said softly. "You just don't want another failure." He flinched at the word, then nodded. "You always see through the insulation." "Maybe that's leadership." He pushed a folder toward me, valuation papers, legal drafts. "Buy out the company, change the name if you must, just keep it spine." I flipped through the pages, noting the numbers, the reasonable price. "I'll buy it," I said. "But there's a condition." He braced. "Go on. You don't retire ashamed, you retire proud of your daughters." Something in his expression cracked like sunlight through shutters. "Deal," he said. Taking over the family studio felt less like conquest and more like archaeology. Beneath dusted ledgers and outdated egos lay real craftsmanship. I merged it under my existing brand, RVR Group, a Rivera resurgence. At the relaunch party, Mom stood beside me. "Your father cried at the sign outside," she whispered. "That's permitted," I said. "He said you redesigned dignity." I smiled. "That's all any designer does." Across the room, I saw Isabel enter, hesitant as a guest in her own story. She approached, glass in hand. "I heard you reabsorbed Rivera design," she said. "Congratulations." "Thank you," I answered evenly. "You did everything you promised you'd do," she said after a pause. While I learned what staying comfortable costs. We looked at each other, older, scarred by different kinds of ambition. "I never hated you," she said quietly. "I just hated how small I felt next to you and how good you were at pretending it didn't hurt." I exhaled. "Maybe we both stop pretending now." She nodded. "I could help." Corporate interiors. Latimer's still got accounts. That's a start. Our glasses touched softly, less toast, more handshake. The project. A year into the merger, I proposed something extravagant, a new flagship hotel on the Rivera estate, the house I'd grown up in. Mom hesitated. "Your father would never sell the property." "I'm not selling," I said. "I'm transforming it." For years, that mansion had symbolized hierarchy, parents on pedestals, daughters on display. I wanted to pour open light through its arrogance. We gutted the ballroom where I'd once been assigned help duties. I replaced chandeliers with skylights, coated columns in white limestone rather than gold. Every inch whispered reinvention. When I invited the family to see progress, even Dad walked slowly through the space, awestruck. "What'll it be called?" he asked. "Casa Nueva," I said. "Means new house. Appropriate, don't you think?" he chuckled. "Poetic." Isabel traced a wall's curve. "You kept nothing of the old structure." "Not true," I said. "The foundation survived. I just removed everything that hit it." Mom smiled faintly. "That includes us, I suppose?" "Maybe," I said, "but I left the front door." Opening night arrived, lights, flowers, the hum of guests who knew transformation when they saw it. Casa Nueva by RVR became a symbol of second chances. The speeches were mercifully short. After the mayor's obligatory praise, Dad insisted on speaking, unexpected but welcome. "My daughters," he began, voice faltering, "taught me that pride shouldn't come before progress. Tonight I stand in a building my youngest imagined, but both helped build. We raised two successful women and relearned success ourselves from them." Applause scattered like forgiveness. Isabel and I exchanged a glance. We hadn't planned tears, but there they were, light, not heavy. Later, after guests dispersed, I wandered into the now empty ballroom, the same floor once polished for my sister's engagement. The echoes felt cleaner this time. Connor, now COO of my hospitality division, approached carrying champagne. "Didn't expect the full circle to spin so perfectly," he said. "Neither did I admitted. He looked around. "Your parents are bragging about you like investors." "Good. I owe them a commission." He grinned. "Remember the first night here?" "I remember the tray," I said. He raised his glass. "To ownership of everything that once belittled you." I touched mine to his. "To remembering without resentment." Epilogue. The manager's toast. 6 months later, Casa Nueva hosted its first major gala, my parents' 40th anniversary. They insisted on paying but ultimately accepted my sponsorship. Everyone from our past attended, including waitstaff who'd once mistaken me for one of them. Connor oversaw the event again, immaculate in a black suit. The moment mirrored history too closely. Halfway through dinner, he caught my mother's eye with a nervous chuckle. "Déjà vu, Mrs. Rivera?" Except this time, the owner actually sent the invitation. Laughter rippled across tables. Mom placed a hand over her heart. "And thank goodness I learned how to RSVP properly." Dad clapped Connor on the back. Best line of the evening. I watched them laugh, realizing the weight I'd spent years carrying had quietly dissolved into air. After dessert, the lights dimmed for one final presentation, something I hadn't told anyone about. Projected across the ballroom wall appeared a montage, photographs of our family through decades, humble beginnings, prosperity, estrangement, and now. The last image froze on a quote, in serif gold letters, "If they ever treat you like the help, remember, help builds things." The crowd exhaled in collective sigh and applause. My parents wiped at their eyes. Isabel squeezed my hand. "Did you write that?" she whispered. "No," I said. "I lived it." When everyone left, the three of us remained. Mom circling the marble floor, Dad leaning against a pillar Isabel once crashed into with her tricycle. We talked long past midnight about anything except guilt, books, food, travel, constructing habits instead of hierarchies. At some point, Dad said quietly, "I'm glad the world found out at that dinner. It forced me to see you." "I'm glad too," I said. "It forced me to see me," Mom smiled. "And now?" "Now we start the next foundation." Outside, the sea wind pushed against the glass facade. The ballroom lights reflected our figures, still standing, finally parallel. I thought back to the moment Connor's words echoed through that old hall, "She's the owner." Back then it sounded like permission. Now it sounded like truth that had always been waiting to be spoken. Ownership, I realized, was never just property. It was autonomy, peace, and voice. And this building full of laughter and